So the first episode of The Last of Us TV show is in the can and has finally aired on television sets around the world. And I'm just going to set up my stall like this. If you're a fan of the game, you're going to love it. And if you're not a fan of the game, you're still going to love it. This is some good-ass TV. In fact, I loved it so much and I'm so excited about what it could do down the line, I decided to review it using the one and only finger of power. If you don't watch my What Culture stuff, that's not going to make any sense, so please do go to What Culture and What Culture Wrestling and check it out. But yeah, here's all my thoughts and feelings when it comes to The Last of Us Episode 1. So let's start with the most obvious discussion that everybody is having right now, and that's how it relates and dedicates itself to the games. Oodalally. Because what is going to happen to everybody that has played The Last of Us is you're going to watch the TV show, and every 8 seconds you're going to go, oh, that's from the game. I recognize that from the game. And while this does make you a super nerd, that just does make you love it even more for some reason. But also, the whole damn thing has been treated with so much respect. I don't want to go into too much detail because if you haven't seen it yet, I don't want to spoil it because having these oh my gosh moments is half the fun. But not only is it crazy good to look at, holy crap, does it get you right in the heartstrings. So essentially what everybody has done here is they have replicated that feeling from the video games and ensure it keeps ticking over. I do feel like this ties in because let's face it, with other video game adaptations, it feels like the only thing people want to do is go, well, you know that bit in the game, let's just make sure we do that on a big screen and we don't have to worry about anything else. But that's not the case here at all, because while there are winks and nods to people that have played the thing or the fans, the characters and the stories are just so well thought out. Well, I'm taking that old finger and I'm giving it up. And on that note, yeah, it is the same with the characters. Now, I think most of us had figured out that The Last of Us casting had been absolutely meticulous. Because when those first trailers dropped a few months ago, you looked at Joel and you looked at Ellie, and you're like, well, yeah, that's a pretty damn good job. The thing is, that is nothing compared to seeing them in full flow, and Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey have taken what these people are meant to be, and they've totally smashed it. I mean, they're so good it feels like somebody made some Last of Us serum and injected it right in their brains, and that's a weird and gibberish thing to say, but the first time you see Ellie as she's doing some counting, it will make you go, because it is just exactly what she would have done in the game. I know it's boring, but it's true. And it's the same with Joel, who is just drowning in sadness and misery, but somehow the whole time just comes across as a bit of a hunk. And I know, but don't pretend you weren't thinking it too. Of course, it's only the first episode, so we need to see how this is going to evolve, but at the moment, even the peripheral cast fit into this box. Tess is great, Marlene is great, Tommy is great, and my gosh, do we have to give a shout out to the actress who plays Sarah Miller. Because to say that Nico Parker maximized her minutes is an understatement, and look, you already know the deal. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. But I honestly think you could have searched for another 100 years and you would not have found somebody as good as this. Once again, whether they've played the damn thing or not, they understood exactly what they should be doing. It is getting it up. The love keeps on coming too because the sheer atmosphere and feeling of the thing. Because if you did play the game way back in 2013, you know that it's harrowing. You would get the odd moments of levity and the odd moments of humor, but otherwise it just felt like such a slog. And somehow that made it even more enjoyable to play. I know it doesn't make any sense. Genius never does. Now, the first episode has to set the scene because we have to introduce the world, but be it prior to the infection taking over everything or when walking zombies are basically in control, the whole thing will just make you go, well, this isn't nice. I don't want to live there. I mean, obviously it's better prior to this when you don't have clicking creatures walking around, but even then you kind of look at everyone and go, well, they're not particularly happy. They need a bit of luck. And they don't get that, and instead they're basically sent to hell. This also ties into the fact that everybody we do meet is just trying to survive, so you don't really have good guys and bad guys. I mean, the Fireflies are still painted as the heroes, with the domineering army coming across like the villains, but it's never as easy as that. I mean, Joel punches the face off a guard in episode 1 to such a degree you may start looking away, and trust me, if this happened in a UFC octagon, the referee would have dragged him off about 5 punches before this. I mean, he really gets the guy. He's probably thinking of Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Now, this is all down to the suffering he's already gone through, which again is exactly what he does in the games and what kind of makes Joel the person he is. But it's just so nice, which sounds crazy. But in a TV world where everything is so glossy and everything is so clean, The Last of Us goes in the opposite direction, where it's just murky, so damn grey. I mean, you don't want to live in this place, but that's why all the bad things people are doing can be justified so easier, because we have connected the dots here, people. That's far easier said than done. Up. There's also something really interesting that The Last of Us does, and I would say they've taken a massive risk, because the episodes really are quite long. I mean, the first which we have seen is 80 minutes, and I actually had to double check the information, like, really? Is it 80 minutes long? And because there are reviewers out there that have seen the series in their entirety, we know this happens over and over again, and apparently episode 3 is almost movie length. That doesn't scare me, it makes me massively intrigued. Because the hardest thing with a game to TV production is trying to get those nuances in there, because you're essentially taking a 15-hour experience and breaking it down into 1-hour chunks. And we all know how quickly that 60 minutes can go, and while of course you can do this and just make 25 episodes and try and get people to binge it, I don't think that would work with The Last of Us, because after about 4 you'd be like, man, I've got to take a break, it's just too much. Instead, it wants you to feel this way, and it wants you to enter its world of hopelessness, but then on the flip side, you've got to find a way to deal with that, which is what makes it so intriguing. I suppose the best way to do that is to just stretch the episodes out a little bit, and if we are to use the first show as an example of that, I think it's the right move. It still zooms by because there is so much world setting and introducing here, and if we continue to do that with the characters and personalities as we try to get the relationships across as well, I can't see how this isn't going to get better and better and better. It also means there's no reason why it won't leave you feeling exactly how the game did, which is the other thing we need to try and get across here, especially if you've never played the thing. And do not forget, if you have gone through them, what's the best bit about it? It's when nothing is happening and you just see Joel and Ellie quipping and talking to each other. Try not to cry. It just feels like we've gone out of our way in episode 1 to tell the audience, well, this is what you're going to get as we do move through this process. So now I am desperate for this series, and I'm going to make sure I go out of my way to watch it each and every single week. That has got to be considered a success. Up. So it is just a huge thumbs up all round, and I will be stunned if The Last of Us isn't able to keep this going. And also, yes, it's a love letter to the games that doesn't feel rushed, and it doesn't feel like an insult. Now, I don't buy into this whole, oh my gosh, the video game TV adaptation curse has finally been lifted, because that's not true at all. Just go do a bit of Googling. There are loads of good ones. The real joy being, maybe The Last of Us turns out to be one of the best. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's not to say there haven't been some terrible ones, although no, the original Street Fighter movie does not count because that's a work of art. It was just misjudged in its time. But when we do take episode 1 as a whole, there's no two ways about it. It is getting an up. And if you're not planning to watch this and you trust a bald idiot, you should change that today. Flub me sideways. What an introduction. Now please do leave a comment below, and again, if you've seen The Last of Us episode 1, let me know. Maybe somehow you've seen all of them. I would like your opinions, but try and be nice with spoilers. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and click the bell ding ding so you know when other videos are going live. Of course, we talk about fitness on this channel as well, so GorillaMind.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off. There is a link down there, and again, I trust these supplements, and I use them all the time. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at SimonMiller316. Patreon.com/Simon3116 if you want to support me that way. Just SimonMiller316. I can't talk today. I'm on Cameo if you want a shout out, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller if you want to buy my wrestling merch, and find that Samson Athletics link down there in the description. Click that if you want my Fitness Palace of Love t-shirt. It really is quite nice. My name is Simon Miller. Thank you very much for joining me as always, and that's right, I will keep this up for all the episodes. I think there's about 10 or 12, but I don't care. If HBO keeps throwing them at me, I am going to keep watching.